Welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and I'm excited to be continuing my playthrough of Nemesis. And we're going to pick it up exactly where we left it off in the last video. If you haven't checked out the previous parts to this playthrough series or this setup video, that will definitely help you get caught up. I'll put a link to that in the top right-hand corner for the full showcase. Now, before we go ahead with this playthrough video, I'm going to talk about 3 things that were caught by the community as well as partly myself after I filmed the last video. So let's go ahead with those quick corrections and FYIs. First thing I want to make mention of is the fact that in the last video I had Laika move from the fire control system into the nest area. Laika, the dog, is considered a character, so when she moved into the nest with the adult intruder, just like if a character moved into the nest with the adult intruder or a character moved into a spot with a character, no noise roll is done. However, I went ahead and did a noise roll. Now, yes, Laika will do noise rolls as a character will throughout other areas of the ship that don't have an intruder or a character in them, but because that spot did have one, I shouldn't have made the noise roll. So I made things harder on myself in that situation. However, if you remember, I threw a Molotov cocktail in there and took care of things pretty nicely. Alright, moving right along to the second correction or FYI I'd like to make mention of, which ironically also has to do with noise. And I swear at some point along this line I will not make a mistake involving noise. Don't worry, it will happen, and now I've jinxed myself. So what we have here is the medic, and in the last video the medic moved into the surgery room, and as I was revealing the tile and finishing up on that reveal of the exploration token, as well as explaining what I was planning on doing, I didn't do a noise roll at that point in time. So it's kind of funny because I didn't do a noise roll in the surgery when I should have with the medic. However, with Laika moving from the fire control system to the nest, I did a noise roll when I shouldn't have in that situation, being that there was an intruder there. So we're going to call this a wash. I did a noise roll where I shouldn't have one spot, and I should have made a noise roll where I didn't in another. So with those 2 corrections relating to noise out of the way, the last correction, which is something I definitely can fix, is the fact the medic attacked a larva with a melee attack, and when the medic does that, she's supposed to take a contamination card as well. So that contamination card is going to go on the top of my discard pile, and if you guys remember at the end of the last video, we drew up cards into our hand. Thank goodness it didn't have to do with any reshuffling of the discards. The discard pile for her is exactly the way it was when she would have incurred that contamination card. So we can literally just put it on top of her discard with no gameplay impact whatsoever. So our medic will in fact take that contamination card right now. Again, as I mentioned, no gameplay impact. The same card that was on the top of the discard right now is the same one from the prior end of the video. So that's perfect. We'll put it just like that. Eventually that's going to cycle back around into my hand. And if you guys remember from earlier, much earlier in the playthrough here, we already have a contamination card which has cycled back into my hand already, stuffing it up and preventing me from having something useful in hand. And that's going to do it for the corrections. We are now ready to move into this video, but first I want to say thank you to everybody that made mentions of the things that I might have missed in the last video. It's a huge help going forward with the playthrough, so keep it up. So let's go ahead right now with the medic and the bounty hunter and see what they can accomplish in this one. So where are we currently at in terms of the objectives, the things we're trying to accomplish as well as survive in Nemesis in this playthrough? Well, we know earlier on in the playthrough that we were gunning to get to the comms room and send the signal, and we had our medic do this successfully. So we are part way through one of the objectives we need to do, and the other side of that objective card, which is no man left behind, says all rooms on the ship must be explored. Currently we're doing a really good job of that, as the back end of the ship has been mostly explored. The only other one tile that I haven't revealed yet is on screen right up there. Once we reveal that, all the number 1 tiles have been revealed, and the only ones left are at the front of the ship near the cockpit. Actually surrounding it, there are 5 number 2 tiles that we're going to need to explore and reveal. Once that's done, we have completed the no man left behind. We've made sure that there's no one else left on the on Nemesis. The other objective card that I have here is to place the blue character corpse object, and that character corpse is currently on the bounty hunter, and I'm trying to get this individual to the surgery room. So this is another important thing to keep in mind, that we're getting close to being able to have the bounty hunter move past this intruder, and he needs to get to the surgery room in order to do that objective. So we're doing pretty good. We seem to be on the right path, and we also have time on our side. So I'm going to go ahead with the medic, and I'm going to use computer skills. We're going to discard this card right here. That's going to allow me to move from the engine room into the surgery room and then perform a noise roll. The medic has moved from engine room number 2 to the surgery room to try to help out, but first we have to roll for noise. A 1, where's that going to be? Oh, it's right there. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and I'm going to use a grenade. That's right, we're gonna use a grenade that I probably should have used earlier on in the last video, not knowing that the regeneration would happen, but we're gonna use it now, and it states on it, choose one room with an intruder, the one you are in, or a neighboring one. The chosen intruder suffers 2 injuries, and all other beings in the targeting room, including you, suffer 1 injury and serious wound. So again, if you're throwing a grenade into a nest area, that grenade is going to inflict damage on the eggs itself and will remove 1 egg. This will not remove an additional egg nor an additional damage beyond the 2 on the intruder, because there's no fire based in this explosive from the grenade. It's just a single one. But again, single 1 to the egg, so 1 egg removed, but 2 to the intruder. Quite happy with that. But the thing I have to do on that card, as it states, is pay an additional card from my hand. So it mentions right there, 1. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to play the ER card. We'll discard this, throw this in the discard pile, pay for that card. We're chucking the grenade into the nest. Now let's check to see whether the damage I just inflicted on that adult intruder actually kills it. We'll draw an intruder card and find out. Check that out. It is a 3. We did it. We took it out. When you kill an intruder, of course, with the number of wounds on it matching the top left-hand corner of the intruder attack card, the intruder is removed. So that was awesome. That's huge for us. And now an intruder corpse is left in that room, which is another awesome thing to be able to pick up, because that's again going to help us expose a weakness on the intruder board. So that was a very successful grenade fired into the nest. You can see we got the intruder corpse in there. Now I'm going to remove that 1 egg from the intruder board as well. So 1 more egg is consumed from the intruder board. We only have 1 egg remaining, and then that nest is going to be destroyed. We'll put a red cube on it to denote that when it happens at the end of the round, thanks to a fire being there. First action for the bounty hunter is getting the heck away from that engine number 1 area. It's a little bit hot right now. We're going to spend 2 cards, Go Girl and Rest, in order for me to choose where I want to place the noise rather than rolling for noise. So I'm going to go ahead and have the bounty hunter. We're going to head into the nest. Bounty hunter enters the nest. A noise token I've placed by moving carefully is right there. Next thing I'm going to do for my second action is I'm going to head over to the surgery room. I'd love to pick up that intruder corpse, and there's really no point in doing this, because again, as you can see, it's quite a ways off the path of where I want to go, and it's not really a major focus at this point in time. The surgery room is going to, pay dividends for me for being there. So let's go ahead and remove 2 cards. I'll keep the repairs card in my hand, because this will allow me to fix the engines in the case that engine number 2 is broken. If it's good, I'm fine, but I want to keep that card in my hand because currently the medic doesn't have a repair card in her hand yet. So let's go ahead now and make a regular move, because there's no point in moving carefully if I don't have to roll for noise. So we'll go ahead and spend this taking aim card. This will allow us to move into this surgery room with the medic. So the team has met up in the surgery room. It's now the medic's turn, and as I mentioned before, the medic really doesn't need to be in there anymore. Although if I was to stick around, it makes the ability for the bounty hunter to go in, deal with the engine, and get back out without probably having to deal with anything too nasty coming his way. So there's a benefit in me staying put. So what I might do is I might do just that. But first what I'll do is I'll search. So I'll search this room, as there are 2, or at least there's 2 items still left in this room. I'll go ahead and just move the bounty hunter a little bit. You can see a 2 right there. So we'll use this search card, 1 search card, to go ahead with the medic and see if we can find something useful. 2 items found in the surgery room are clothing and synthetic food. The question is, which one do I want? 1 on the far right here says draw 2 action cards from your deck. Interesting, but in order to actually even eat that synthetic food and use it, I have to not only discard that card, but actually pay a card as well just to get 2 cards. So really all you're doing is gaining an extra card. Not too much going on there. Could be good in some situations where you need more cards to continually be performing more within that round, but I really don't don't need that right now. More so, I want to be prepared for future serious wounds and slime markers, which haven't happened to me yet, but could very easily happen in the future. So I think I'll take clothes, plus you can see a crafting icon on the top left. That could be quite useful. The first thing the bounty hunter is going to do is move. He's going to take his sentinel card, discard it, just to do a regular move. Again, I'm going to move into a engine room that has 2 technical corridors of different types connected. We're going to make a noise roll and see how it goes. Bounty hunter is now in engine room number 2, and unfortunately I do have to roll for noise, as I mentioned. The one thing I did just do is I tick this from a 2 down to a 1. I can only search one more time in the surgery room. We'll go ahead and roll for noise for the bounty hunter in the engine room. A 1. That is going to put it in the red technical corridor. This is where the bounty hunter is going to pass, and that's because I have 1 card left in my hand and I do not want to use it for anything else but for the bottom section here. And as you can see, it's still going to cost me an additional card that I don't have. This is going to allow me to repair or break the engine in the engine room you're in. I don't know the status of this engine, but this is a card that you need to have, and I was hoping to have my medic, but I didn't, in order to actually correct anything that happens to be damaged in that engine. I don't know if it's damaged. It might already be working, but that card will ensure I can fix it in 2 card spend. Definitely want to hold on to that for the next player phase, so that's going to force me to pass. My plan of attack going into the next player phase is bounty hunter's going to be the starting player. I'm in a great position to fix the engines, move into the surgery room, not have to roll for noise, and then once in the surgery room, I can actually go after my aggro overdrive quest for to complete the second quest for my Leica companion, which will allow me to have an ability that should be very, very useful going forward. So hopefully we can grab that too. So with all that said, we are now done the player phase. Both characters have passed. We're moving on to the event phase, starting with the time track. Time will shift from 10 down to 9. The nest is now considered destroyed. There's no eggs left inside. We got a red marker on the nest to denote this, and we're going to move on to the next thing that happens, which we all know is resolving an event card. This is a nasty event. As you can see here, it states noise in the technical corridors, and at the top of the card here, it's got some information around where the intruders are going to move to. We don't have any intruders in play. We'll skip down to the bottom section where it states place a noise marker in the technical corridor if there isn't already one there. If there is, each character in a room with a technical corridor entrance performs a noise roll. So we do have the bounty hunter in a room, engine room number 2, that is connected to a technical corridor. We do have noise in a technical corridor as well, so we are definitely rolling for noise with the bounty hunter. Now thankfully the odds are in our favor here. The only way we could trigger something really nasty is if we land the red technical corridor, so let's hope that that does not happen. We got ourselves a 4, so that's going to put it right in between the surgery room and engine room number 2. Our noise is now placed, and we're going to go ahead to the intruder bag development step and see what we find. Hopefully something not too bad. We got ourselves an adult. This is really, really bad because it means, as we know, we all need to roll for noise. The only way we'd avoid rolling for noise is if you happen to be in a room with an intruder, which is not the case. So we're going to be rolling for noise. We start with the first player. That's the medic. This is not looking good because we got action here in 3 and 4 in that corridor. We have action in number 1. The only way that I can be safe with this roll is to roll a 2. So not looking good. Or that. That was extremely lucky, and I don't think it's going to happen the same way for our friend the bounty hunter. We shall see. So with this situation with the bounty hunter, there is one in the red technical corridor, so that's a 25% chance right there, and there's one in the 3 and 4 areas, so that's an extra 50% chance added in, so now 75% chance of rolling something bad. So really actually it's bang on to the exact same odds as what the medic had. The only way to be safe is for me to roll a 2 or a silence. So here we go. Nope, didn't pan out, and I knew it wouldn't. There's no way I could pull that off back to back. I've gone ahead and removed all the noise that's connected to engine room number 2, so that was the 1 from the red technical corridor, as well as the 1 noise from the 3 and 4 corridor. Now we're going to go to the intruder bag and pull out the lovely surprise that is coming towards us. This is probably not going to be good. What did we get? An adult. Right when you think everything is going to plan, the intruders show up and throw a wrench into that plan. So let's start off with drawing up cards to 5 for the medic. We have a contamination card that's still sitting in my hand, clogging it up. We have the demolition card that I didn't spend from the last player phase. We'll draw until the deck is dry, which is ironically just one card. And now we need to shuffle this entire discard pile for the medic, and we'll go ahead and draw 2 more cards. Next card off the top of the deck is Rest. That can be useful in this situation with Contamination, and ER. The Bounty Hunter has the Repairs card, and hilariously, we now have an Intruder in the engine room, which is going to prevent me from repairing the engine. Worst. We're going to be trying our best to deal with this Intruder, but it's going to cause us some grief, I'm sure. Demolition is another one we have here. Next up, we got Search. 4th card is Search again. Double Search right there in a row. And lastly, Interruption. First player marker is moved over to the Bounty Hunter. He is going to begin with 2 actions. Now this is a situation I was not expecting. I thought it'd be smooth sailing going to this next turn. I had it all planned out to get moving, and then this thing showed up. And there is a way we could get moving and not have to deal with it. I think standing still and trying to fight this thing, sometimes with the Intruders it's worth it, and other times it's not. And it's really tough to know what their damage level is going to be at, because it's all based on that Intruder attack card. It could flip over and be a 5, it could flip over and be a 4, or maybe a 3. So it's just changing every time you attack it, meaning that you could be piling up damage on it for multiple attacks, and you're burning time essentially. So sometimes you have to think about whether you want to just run away. Even though this guy has good weaponry, I don't currently have the Aggro Overdrive unlocked for my character, which certainly would have been useful to use, but I need to get to the surgery room to do that anyway. So it just makes sense for me to try to escape and just try to run away. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to escape. So let's go ahead and find out what kind of pain is coming my way here. I'm going to grab an Intruder attack card. We'll reveal it. And what have we got? Oh, that's good news for us. So that means it's not going to actually be coming at us. As you can see here, it only activates a larva and the queen. So no hit whatsoever for trying to escape. That was great. Bounty Hunter is now in the surgery room. Of course, because I didn't escape, it's considered movement. You have to actually spend a card to do so. I'll use this interruption card. I'll spend this in order to complete that. So I'm there. Good news, I didn't get hit. That does not always pan out so good for you. Sometimes you get some pretty nasty hits. Good news is I'm in the surgery room and I have the major objective with me, which is the blue character corpse. So taking a look at the emergency post-mortem card, it simply says to place the blue character corpse object in the surgery room. So that's all we have to do, is just place it there. The good news, dropping or placing anything inside of a room is not considered an action. It's just freely done. So I can just drop this blue objective, and as long as it's in surgery, at the end of the game when we check our victory conditions for emergency postmortem, as long as that character is in the surgery room, which for sure it will be now, we're good there. So we have successfully completed that one objective, which is awesome. And we know we're halfway through the No Man Left Behind objective, which is to reveal all the rooms and send the signal. We've already sent the signal, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So now we just got to focus on the 6 remaining tiles to explore in Nemesis. So just to recap where we're currently at, we still have one more action left with the Bounty Hunter. Yes, I escaped out of the room by moving, and that was one action. And then I dropped an item, the heavy object, the blue character corpse, down in the surgery room to ensure I can complete one of my 2 objectives. But that's free, that doesn't cost an action, so that's great. I have one more action to spend. I'm going to go ahead and actually search in the room, because the Bounty Hunter doesn't have many things in terms of items. He has the Nemesis plans, which will allow him to reveal some of these unexplored tiles later to see which rooms we might want to go towards if we're kind of gunning for something. But really, he doesn't have much to patch himself up in a situation where what just happened could have happened, where an intruder starts gnawing away at him. So maybe grabbing something from a medical room is a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and do a search here. But the other thing kind of pulling at me or tugging at me is to actually complete my aggro overdrive. So maybe before I go ahead and search here, I'll go ahead with my last action, do the aggro overdrive first. So we'll go ahead and we'll ditch one of the search cards he has, and this is simply going to allow him to take that quest, which is this one right here. And it just states that I just needed to spend the 1 on it. And it says activate this item in the surgery room. And this card states when Leica should move from the room the Bounty Hunter is in, you can deal 1 injury to any intruder in that room instead of moving. First action I'm going to take with the medic is to rest. I can scan all contamination cards in my hand and remove all not infected cards. If any of the cards are infected, then I can follow the infection procedure, and thankfully I'm in the surgery room, so this is why I want to check the card right now. I've placed the contamination card that was in my hand in the scanner. Remember, I still have one on my deck. This one's safe. You can see the words infected are not found in any of the 5 rows on this contamination card. So this card can now be removed from my deck, which is great, or my hand, which is awesome. Second action, I'm going to spend 2 cards in order to move carefully from the surgery room down to the nest. Now this is not fun because every single round that you happen to end your 2 actions inside of a room that's on fire, which literally happens right now, you actually are inflicted by fire damage. So I would take a light wound at this point because I'm done my 2 actions, which are considered a round of my player phase. So that's unfortunate, but it's okay because it's part of my plan to set myself up to make it easier for the bounty hunter to move forward. The other thing I don't want to forget about is the fact that I'm moving carefully because I spent 2 cards, so I need to place where I want the noise to go. Definitely going to place it right here, as our plan here is to start heading down this way towards the comm room and towards the front of the ship. So as I mentioned, the medic's going to take a light wound for the fires, but I'm not too concerned about it. We do have bandages later on, things we can use to mitigate it. Just like that, we've got the light wound marker in place, and we're now done for the medic's round of actions. We'll move over to the bounty hunter. So the bounty hunter is going to be a little risky as well, and is not going to worry about the fact that he may or may not be in the nest and be inflicted by some fire at the end of this round of actions. I'm more concerned about searching. I want to get as much as I can on him before we run for a while and not be able to search anywhere. So we're going to search in the surgery room using my search card here. The second one I had in my hand is now discarded. We'll tick that down to 0, grab 2 cards, and see what we find. The last of the items stored away in the surgery room were some military drugs and some synthetic food. There's actually quite a bit of synthetic food inside of that surgery room, but those military drugs look awesome. It says discard any number of cards from your hand, even contamination cards, and draw up to the same number plus 1. That is huge. Now right now the bounty hunter doesn't have any contamination cards to deal with, but that could be something that I could shovel over to the medic or just hold on to the bounty hunter if we're going to work as a team as we head to the front of the ship. I'll have to make a judgment call on who should be carrying that, because I do know that contamination card will come back around for the medic. And the coolest part of those drugs is the fact that it doesn't matter what the status of that contamination card is when it gets into my hand, it just gets rid of it. I don't even have to check the status, I just get rid of it from the drugs alone. So that could be a great way to rid the contamination card out of my medic's hand later on down the line. We'll see. Like I said, timing of all this stuff changes every other second. Second action, the bounty hunter will go ahead and discard the demolition card to do a regular movement down to the nest. Bounty hunter has now joined the medic in the nest, does not have to do a noise roll, but will take 1 light wound as at the end of a 2 action round for him. And that's now been marked on his character board. The medic is up next. I'm going to have the medic use the last card that she has. The demolition card is discarded. No more cards left in her hand. She's going to move to the comms room. I don't want to be in the nest anyway. We're going to head over here to the comms room. I do have to make a noise roll. As we can see currently around the medic, we have a corridor 3, 1, 4, and the technical corridor blue and 2, but there's nothing in blue technical corridor right now, so we're safe no matter what we roll here. So let's see what happens. A 4. So we have a noise token sitting in corridor number 4. At this point, it's the bounty hunter's turn. He's only got 1 card left. He'll go ahead and spend that card to do a move because he can do it without making a noise roll, which is awesome. So he's going to head out of the nest into the comms room, and that is going to end the player phase. First up in the event phase, as always, is to move the time track. It crosses a threshold at this point. You can see that icon right there. That's a hibernatorium chamber. What that means is once the time track goes from this side, gray side, to this blue side, it means now all the hibernatorium chambers are now open. So you can actually go into the hibernatorium at this point in the gameplay and try to go into cryosleep, essentially, if of course you're ready to do so. And you need to have your objectives complete to ensure you can do it without having any of your objectives done. You can do it without knowing where the ship's going. You can do it without knowing how the engines are doing, kind of like me. But if you do so, you're gambling pretty big that things are going to pan out for you, especially if I was to do it at this point. But it's nice to know that they're open, right? So the ship is open, these are available. So With that being said, we'll move on to the next step of the event phase, and that's going to be intruder attacks. Currently we have an intruder, but it is really far away. No intruder attack is going to happen. Obviously, they're not in the same room with our current characters. Fire damage isn't going to hurt anything. The nest is completely consumed and damaged to the point of being destroyed. No more eggs to be taken out there. Fire is still present. That's about it. Now we move to the event card. Well, this is interesting. You can see right here any adults that are currently in Nemesis. As it triggers right here, are going to move along path number 1. Path number 1 in Engine Room 2 is actually a technical corridor. And this brings me to one of the coolest aspects and very thematic feel of Nemesis. So when a card like this comes along where it states all adults are going to move along corridor number 1, in this case for this intruder, he is not going to sit around Engine Room number 2 all day hoping that the characters come back in there to visit him. He is smart. He is going to go back into the technical corridors of Nemesis and then try to hunt us down again. That's right, because remember, every time one of these intruders comes out, it's coming out with a token which represents itself. Until that intruder is destroyed, that token is always present with the intruder on the board. I currently, during this playthrough for this intruder, have this one off to the side. You remember the first one we got, this token was sitting right beside the intruder and we kept putting cubes on it until we had enough to take it out, and then it's removed from the game. This case is very interesting. This is why you got to keep these tokens nearby that attach themselves to a particular intruder, because in this case, this one is going into the technical corridors and the adult token that matches it is going back into the bag. Now, what's extremely vicious about this, and not so much in this case, is the fact that if you had to put damage against this intruder and a card like this would have come up and maybe you escaped it, maybe you hit it for 2 or 3, but every time you tried to hit it, it wasn't enough damage to kill it, and we escaped and we ran away like we did. If it had 3 damage on it and a card like this came up and it goes up in the technical corridors, when that token goes back in the bag, you can kiss all the damage that you put on that intruder goodbye. It is going to be just fine when it reappears somewhere else on the board later on. The only way to actually take these things out and ensure they're not going to come back to haunt you is to literally eliminate them. Now, not only is it creepy that that intruder that was in Engine Room number 2 has left the board and is likely going to reappear close to us in the future, unfortunately. The doors, the bulkhead doors, are now opening as part of this event. So all of them, all the ones that are closed, that haven't been destroyed, are now going to open. Now, this doesn't affect me too much because I don't have any plans to really head back to that area of the ship. You can see it's pretty noisy over there, and it's quite obvious that the whole back end of the ship is just teeming with these intruders as I try to get away from the noise, go to the front of the ship where there is none, so that I can try to get some stuff done without being attacked. All right, now it's time to go into the intruder development bag stage to see what we find here. Go ahead and draw one token out. What do we get? We got an adult. That is going to result in some noise rolls. Yeah, this could certainly be bad. We're going to start off with the first player for this particular player phase, or at least the last one. Bounty Hunter is going to be rolling first. Here we go. A 3. Okay, so that's going to put a noise behind us. That's not so bad. I'm okay with that. This next roll, I'm a little more stressed about, because now we got a 50-50 odds of pulling an intruder, and wouldn't it be ironic if it happened to be an adult intruder? Don't want to hear or see that happen. Here we go. Yeah. So all the noise is now removed from around the comms room as we've made some noise and we hear something coming towards us. Well, let's find out what it is as I draw from the bag. I'm really quite terrified right now because I know the queen's in here. I know there's a miss in here, but there's also quite a few adults. Wouldn't be kind of thematic to see that same adult come through? And wouldn't you know it, just when we thought we were safe, the thing went up into the vents, came all the way over to us, and dropped in the comms room. Not only that, but this particular adult on the back side of the token has a warning of 2. This is really bad because we have 2 characters in that room and neither of them have any cards in hand. So how do we resolve a surprise attack? Well, first we need to choose the character who is the target of this intruder's attack. Now we know we have two characters, as I mentioned, in this room. That's quite obvious. We don't have cards in hand for either of them. Normally, how it's decided as to who the target is when that character has the fewest action cards. And ironically, like I said, both these characters have 0, so you can't use that. In the event of a draw, the character with the first player token is the one that's attacked. So unfortunately, it's the bounty hunter that's going to be taking the brunt of this attack. I'm going to go ahead and flip an intruder attack card, find out how bad this really is. And it is a claw attack, and yes, it's going to activate as it's an adult icon on the card. The character suffers 2 light wounds and gets a contamination card. That is a vicious one. Uh-oh, that's not good for the bounty hunter. He already has a light wound, so guess what? Another light wound, which is 1 more, brings him to 2, and another light wound brings him to a serious wound card. In that situation, the status marker is removed, and instead, I get this card on the bounty hunter, a serious wound. What do we get? Oh no, a leg injury. From now on, the cost of your escape movement action is 2. And to make matters even worse, a contamination card is added to his discard pile. So we'll head into the next player phase here. We're going to draw up cards. I don't have any in the hand for the bounty hunter, so we'll draw the only card he's got left here, and we're going to shuffle the rest of his deck. He's got Tactical Move. Spend 1 ammo from any of your weapons and move your character and an intruder in the room you are in to any neighboring room without performing a noise roll. You do not trigger any intruder attack. Oh, interesting. That's cool. I could use that to my advantage. There is a nest that happens to be on fire nearby. What else have we got here for the next cards? We got ourselves a rest card. That's good if we happen to get the contamination card down the line here. Repairs, not something I'm necessarily trying to do anytime soon. Demolition, destroy a closed door. Place a malfunction marker. That's certainly something I don't want to do. And interruption. Medic's up next. 5 cards from the top. We got computer skills. We have the search card. We have repairs. A contamination card. There's that second contamination card. And lastly, another search card. First player marker is now over on the medic side, so let's go ahead with 2 actions for the medic to start. First thing I'm going to do with the medic is I'm going to go ahead and escape. It's going to cost me 1 card to do this. It's going to cause me a little bit of harm, but I don't want to be in this room. Yikes, I am a little terrified to how bad this could be, so let's go ahead and find out by grabbing an intruder attack card, flipping it over. What do we get? Frenzy. Okay, we're good. That's actually a breeder symbol and a queen symbol, so we're lucky again. Wow, that is awesome. Okay, so we're good. That escape was very much worthwhile for the medic. So the medic is out of here, and I'm going to have the medic move along the track all the way over to this location right here. We're going to go ahead and reveal that location now. So this is our very first number 2 tile, so I'm pretty excited about this. What do we get on top? Ooh, danger. That's not good at all. That's really bad. I think that's going to cause us some serious grief. And a 2, we found a hatch. The lock and unlock 1 escape pod. Ooh, that's really good. We'll also set it to 2. It's also functioning. It's not malfunctioning, so that's good. But the danger symbol, we're going to have to resolve right now. So this is one of those good for you, bad for me type situations in terms of learning. For those of you that don't understand how the danger symbol works in Nemesis, whether you get it on a noise roll or an exploration token, we're going to see what happens when you get it on an exploration token. They're very close and similar. The only difference really is just rolling the die or not rolling the die. When you get it on the exploration token, you're not supposed to roll for noise for moving into this space. So I mentioned I'd come into this space because I escaped. You explore, reveal this tile, then you normally would roll for noise. If you get a danger symbol though on the exploration token, you don't roll for noise. So that sounds good, but the danger icon is the worst icon to get in general when doing a noise roll. So that's kind of the reason why they say don't bother doing the noise roll, because you're already in a whole bunch of heat. So with the token, if there's an intruder in the neighboring room and it is not in combat with any character, move it into this room. If there is more than one intruder eligible, move them all in. So in other words, if there was intruders here, over here, over here, as long as they're not in combat, they all come into this room. The only thing that stops them is if they don't exist in those neighboring rooms or they're in combat, which the only intruder currently on the board is in combat with another character, so it will not move. That is huge for me. Downside is, it still sounds like I'm kind of winning out in this situation, but it's not over yet. If there are no intruders in any of the neighboring rooms, or if they are in combat, which is my case, perfect example here, place a noise marker in each corridor connected to the room without a noise marker already placed. Counting technical corridors if there is an entrance in the room. This case, I have 4 corridors and all 4 of them around the medic are getting noise tokens. It's absolutely brutal. So that got real intense really quick. And if you happen to roll a noise die and get a danger icon, just like you see on this exploration token, the exact same stuff happens. Pretty brutal stuff. So this is one of the worst ones to get, especially in this situation where I'm trying to basically cover these tiles without having more intruders to slow us down. Now, I guess the good side is we burned that token when it's on this side and we have no escape pod down here. Remember, it jettisoned earlier on the playthrough, so evacuation section B is not a place I plan on being. I actually plan on being on the opposite side of the ship where there is an escape pod, so maybe this was actually a perfect time to get it, even though it's still chaos for me. So anyway, the medic has now moved in this situation. Don't have to roll for noise. The escape away from the comms room is complete now. And in this particular case, I kind of lucked out that I didn't have to take any damage, which is huge, but I do have one additional action. We do also have to mention the fact there are 2 items in this room, and this room has a hatch control system. So let's talk about what that's all about. So what this hatch control system allows me to do is for 2 cards, I can unlock by flipping over the escape pod miniature that I have, allowing me to actually use it to get off of Nemesis. This is huge for me. It's also important to note there's other ways that these escape pods can actually be activated or flipped over and unlocked. And that's if the self-destruct timer is initiated. Then it actually moves down the track at the same time the time marker moves during the event phase. And when it eventually crosses from 4 over to 3, as you can see here, then the escape pods automatically unlock. Because it's basically Nemesis's AI kicking in to say the ship is going to explode, we're automatically unlocking all the escape pods, and it just initiates that. I'm not trying to blow the ship up, so I don't need that, and I would actually potentially need to trigger the self-destruct if I thought the ship was not going to be a safe place to try to win the game, because I'd want to try to trigger those escape pods to get off. But because I found this hatch control system, I've got an easier way out where I can literally focus on doing it without trying to kill myself at the same time, or potentially get myself into a time crunch situation by triggering this insanity. So I'm much happier here with discarding 2 cards in order to unlock the 1 escape pod we have left available, because the other one got jettisoned earlier by somebody on the ship who just didn't want to hang out with us anymore. So I got 3 cards on me that I can use, 4 in total, because my contamination card on the medic is still hanging around in my hand. I'll wait for a rest to get rid of that. So I do have a card right here, and it does say computer skills. Now, am I in a room with a computer? No, I'm not. There's no computer symbol there, so I can't use that one. That would have been nice, though. I do have a search and a repair, so maybe I'll hang on to my search to see if I can get something useful there, because what's really cool is this room is a gray tile room, and this allows me to actually search in any of the 3 different types of items I want. Pretty handy. So I could go after something like I know I need something to help me with combat, so that could be huge. So I'll hold on to my search card, and I'm going to burn my repairs card and my computer skills card, these 2 right here. And that's going to allow me to go ahead and unlock the escape pod. So the escape pod way over there on the opposite end of the ship near evacuation section number A is opening up for us. So now we have an option to get off of Nemesis, and that is really nice to know we've got that figured out already. So I'm going to use aggro overdrive on my bounty hunter right out of the gates here, because remember, when I start a brand new player phase, I'm allowed to move Leica for free if I want to out. And it states here when Leica should move from the room the bounty hunter's in, meaning right now when I could choose to move Leica to an adjacent room, Instead, I can actually deal an injury to any intruder in that room instead of moving, and I'm definitely going to do that. So Leica takes a nice bite out of the side of the intruder, probably not enough to kill it, but let's see how it reacts to the attack. Check it out. We've got ourselves some movement here, and we're going to talk with this because this is the first time this has happened. So now we need to draw an event card to determine where the intruder is going to go. Right now, it could go into the technical corridor blue, number 2. It could go down 3 towards the nest. 1 would send it actually towards the medic, which would be pretty bad, or it would go to the hibernatorium. Let's flip the event card and see what we get. We got ourselves a 1. That's a very, very unfortunate thing that just happened. So the intruder moves from the comms room over to our medic, which does free up the bounty hunter, which is nice, but this is still pretty vicious. We'll go ahead and move this along with it. Yikes, this is definitely getting a little more stressful. So the bounty hunter is going to do his first action right now, and that is to try to help the medic out because the intruder's now in that room, as we know. So I'm going to go ahead and do a regular movement, which means I'll just go ahead and discard my interruption card for the bounty hunter, as I don't have any plans to use that for anything else. It's a great one to use to pay for things. So we're going to have the bounty hunter join the medic and the intruder over here. The good news is I don't have to make a noise roll because I'm in a room with a character as well as an intruder. So no noise roll for me, and that's great because I'm surrounded by noise, and any more would drag more fun towards me. So now that I'm in this situation, I have one more action to do in this round of actions for the bounty hunter, and I'm going to actually shoot it. I'm going to try to put some damage on this thing. You can see behind it here, there's 1 wound on it already. I'm going to try to make that worse. So we're going to go ahead and use demolition in order to do a shot here. We're going to grab the red die and roll away. Hope that we do some decent damage to this adult intruder. Wish me luck. Check that out. That is a double hit. That was literally the best roll I could have gotten on the die, so that's pretty awesome. I do have to make sure that I spend 1 ammo for my gun to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and remove 1 of the 5 cubes that I have, so that one's going to be going away, not in here. That one's going to be removed, but that was an awesome shot. So now we've got 3 wounds on the intruder. We're going to flip an intruder attack card and see what happens. Hopefully it's enough, but 3 is not a lot of wounds. We got lucky last time when we took out the other one with 3. Yeah, not so much this time. This is a 5, so this intruder will not be taken out. The medic is up next, and as we know, doesn't have many cards left. The only 2 cards I have in the medic's hand is a contamination card, which doesn't help me, and search, which I cannot do when there's an intruder in my room, so I am going to pass with the medic and leave it all up to the bounty hunter to deal with this thing. Now, I'm in a really interesting position here with the bounty hunter. I have 2 courses of action to go after this intruder, and I really don't know which one's best here. We're gonna have to hope that I pick the right one. So basically, I have a hand of 3 cards right now, which does give me the availability to essentially attack this thing 3 times back to back to back, because I still have 4 ammo on my gun. So for every card I spend, I can shoot this thing and hope to take it down. Now with 3 attacks against it, the likelihood of me taking it down is quite high. I should be able to do it, but do I want to burn all my cards? Probably. I do want to get rid of this thing. I don't want it to be around me. I also have noise surrounding me, so we'll probably see something else crop up soon anyway. But the other thing you'll notice was in my hand is a card called Tactical Move, and this is a really cool card for the bounty hunter. It says I can spend 1 ammo from any of my weapons, I only have 1 anyway, move your character and an intruder in the room you are in to any neighboring room without performing a noise roll, and you do not trigger any intruder attack by doing this. So this allows me to essentially, as the bounty hunter, essentially run down to the comms room, and the intruder will actually chase me down here. There will be no noise roll done. The bonus to this is I can get him away from the medic, who is the first player currently, right? So that's going to help the medic at least. The other thing is it gets him out of the picture. The downside is I still, as the bounty hunter, have issues with my leg. I have a serious wound, this one right here, and it states from now on the cost of your escape movement action is 2. So that doesn't apply in the tactical move situation because it's not considered an escape. But if I move over here and I don't want to be in this tile with the intruder at the end of the player phase going into the event phase when the intruder will attack whoever's in its space with it, and I want to escape, I'm going to have to escape back to this room, and that's when the leg is going to come back to bite me. I'm not going to be moving as fast. I'm not going to have as many cards. Basically, the only way right now for me to pull off the tactical move is to do it at this moment, because I have 3 cards. It would cost me the tactical move to move from here to here, and I need 2 cards to get out. So I could either just ignore this intruder or kind of throw him off into the comms room and hope he doesn't come back down the corridor towards us. Could work. Or I could sit there and say, you know what, I got 4 ammo, let's just shoot this thing into oblivion and take it out. And I was leaning towards tactical movement originally as a great plan, but now I'm kind of going, you know what, he's up to 3 wounds, and I think I might just want to take him down, seeing as I know cards in that intruder attack deck are typically in the 3 to 5 range, unless there's some movement into the technical corridors or disappearance. So I got a decent shot, being that he's already at 3 wounds. So let's go ahead and just see if we can shoot him. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to burn the tactical move card, which again I think is an extremely cool card. And I really wish I could have used it to show you guys how that would have worked, but I think we're in a better place to take shots. So we're going to go ahead and take a red die here. I'm going to be rolling this and hoping to put some more damage on this thing. And remember, I'm also expending 1 ammo from my gun. I'm doing this off screen, so 1 cube's coming off the gun. I now only have 3 left, 3 ammo left. I'm going to have to make sure I get that refilled, because I got a funny feeling we'll see more of these things. We got ourselves, oh, this little symbol right here. You guys know what that is. That symbol on the die is for a creeper or larva to be hit. It will not hit an intruder, so that's considered a miss. I shot into the darkness and did not hit the intruder on that one. That is not good. I only have 2 cards left, so now I'm getting a little bit more stressed out, because I thought I would land at least 1 right off the hop to see if this is worth continuing. Of course, I burnt my tactical move anyway, but hey, I don't want to move myself into the comms room and then be stuck there anyway. I wanted to see how many shots I could put on this thing. Still scary. Let's go ahead and use repairs now to make a second action and a second attack. Again, moving another ammo token, or I should say removing another ammo token. So we only have 2 left now. We'll make another roll, and I really hope that I get a better result than what I just saw. Oh no! The bounty hunter's plans are kind of going down the tubes here. He's already shot twice into the blackness and hit absolutely nothing. He's hoping to do a little bit better on his last attempt. Again, that's the end of his second action, so we'll go over to the medic. The medic's already passed, comes back to the bounty hunter. One thing I want to clarify before I take this final shot is when I mentioned in the couple clips ago when I made my first attempt and landed this result, I said this result right here on the die would not hit an intruder. What I meant to say was it will not hit an intruder adult. It will hit a larva or a creeper, but that's the only thing. Other than that, it's a miss when you're shooting. So that's unfortunate. And you saw this happen twice, and we burnt 2 ammo to do it. Now we're going to burn another ammo, and the final card for the bounty hunter, rest card, is going away. We are now down to 1 ammo in my gun. I'm just ripping through that ammo like crazy, so I definitely am happy I'm in a room I could hopefully find something to replenish my gun, because I'm using everything I can to take this thing down, and for some reason can't shoot straight. Here we go. Last roll, last hope that we can put damage to check to see if we take it out. And really, we have no other chance here because our turn or our player phase is going to end. Here we go. Oh, we got a double hit. That's huge. Finally it turned around. Okay, so 2 hits on this thing is big time. 5 is a great result. Let's go ahead to the intruder attack card and see if that's enough. It should be, I hope. Oh yeah, it definitely is. We got a 4 on here, so we are good to go. That intruder has been eliminated. So the bounty hunter at the very last second, after taking shots to the left of the intruder, to the right of the intruder, the 3rd shot landed squarely right in the middle for the heaviest damage possible, raising it up to 5, which was more than enough to take down that adult intruder, and the carcass now sits in the hatch. Heading into the event phase, we know the time track's going to shift from 8 to 7. Time is slipping away on us. We really need to get those last tiles revealed. Thankfully, we revealed the hatch, so we only have 4 more level 2 tiles to check out and 1 level 1 tile. I really hope we can pull this off, but it's going to be close. Thankfully, because we cleared out the hatch, there is no more intruders on the board, so no intruders are making any attack. That's huge for us. Very happy to see that. Now the fire damage is going to come into play, but again, we have fire in the nest, but all of the eggs are burnt up, so we'll leave that alone. And now we resolve an event card, and this what always throws a wonderful twist into the story. The event we found is flammable compounds. At the top there, you'll see we don't have either of those types of intruders on the board, so no movement whatsoever. Down below it states, place a fire marker in the hibernatorium. If the hibernatorium is already on fire, place a fire marker in each neighboring room. Wow, that would have been super bad if the hibernatorium had been on fire, so it looks like we got the best side of that. Fire does not spread through closed doors or technical corridors. Now, it's not really a good thing to have fire on the ship at all. We already have some in the nest because because I got a little crazy there and started throwing Molotov cocktails in the nest. That was kind of fun. But now we have 2 fire markers in here. The one thing I am scared about is an event card that I know went back in the deck in part 1, and that has to do with fire kind of increasing and moving around the ship, which is what this card we just got is an example of that. So again, if we had a fire marker inside of this particular Hibernatorium, things would have gotten a little wild. Thankfully, that's not the case here. We just have a single token going in. So a fire has erupted in the Hibernatorium, making it a little bit more fun, a little more hot if we decide to go in there and get into a chamber in order to hopefully win the game. The problem with going into the Hibernatorium at this point is I have no knowledge as to whether or not the engines are in good working order, or at least enough of them are in good working order. I only know that one of them is. I need one more. So let's go ahead and do our intruder bag development. Now we're getting kind of low here because we've actually taken out a couple adults here so far. So getting a little scared because I know the queen's in here somewhere. And I also know that there's a breeder in here, if I'm not mistaken, although I might be. We'll see what we get here. And there's a blank in here too, so hopefully we get that. Nope, we got an adult. Oh my gosh, that is going to cause us to do all kinds of noise rolls. That is going to result in some serious problems. Well, this is bad, bad, bad. So we're going to start off with the medic here and make a noise roll. This is terrifying because there's no way, unless I get silence on both of these, to stop something from showing up. This is ridiculous. We're in a little trouble because we rolled that danger earlier. Yep, that's enough. That's going to trigger it right here, which is enough to wipe out all 4 of the noise markers, and we're going to draw something out of the bag. Something is coming after us. This is the worst. This is the worst. We're down on ammo and everything. We only got 1 ammo left on my bounty hunter. We do have his... We do have Leica, who could help, you know, in terms of attacking, and we do have that tactical movement card if it ever comes back around in my hand, but man, this is a bad time to be getting intruders. Let's find out what we get. I am terrified right now. I pray that I get the blank token. We'll see. Nope, I did not. I got the adult. So an adult intruder has shown up in our space, and we're not done yet. We have to do a noise roll for every single character in this area, so we're going to roll again here. This one is going to be for the bounty hunter. We'll see where this one lands. A 2. That is going to place it right here. That's also slightly unfortunate. Time to draw up our cards. We've got a search card here on the medic right now and a contamination card in hand. We're going to draw up 3 more cards. So we got pharmacist here. We have interruption, and I need to shuffle my discard pile to get the 5th card. Final card for the medic is computer skills. The bounty hunter has no cards in hand, so 5 cards coming straight from the deck here. We got a search card. That's not going to help us right now. Go Girl, that actually could help us quite a bit. That's actually really useful right now because remember, whenever we have this aggro overdrive card, which again we can activate thanks to the trait at the very first time that the bounty hunter takes his first, or before he takes his first action in a given player phase, I can always move Leica, which with the aggro overdrive would allow me to do some damage to the intruder that's there, so that's good. Plus, if I use this card, that's her moving again to a neighboring room, or instead, I could actually go ahead and deal another injury. So that could actually help us out quite a bit. And let's keep going. So that was huge. That's not good. Contamination, that's going to gum up my hand. Taking aim, that's a good one. That's a great card to have right now that's going to help me re-rolling when I make an attack. Of course, I only have 1 more shot, but hey, now it'll be a good one, I hope. And search, another one that is not going to be useful right now. First player marker has moved over to the bounty hunter, which works perfectly for the amount of things I want to do with him. And that's going to wrap up this part of the Nemesis playthrough. I really hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below. I'll see you in the next episode. And as always, keep on rolling solo.